Accidental genius, 6 inventions you won't believe were mistakes. Welcome back to Historical Life Journey. Today, we're diving into the surprising world of inventions that changed our lives, created entirely by accident. I love when stuff like this happens. It reminds us that the universe is full of surprises, and that messing up is just the first step to getting it right. From everyday items to groundbreaking technologies, these innovations remind us that sometimes mistakes can lead to genius breakthroughs. Let's get started. Okay, let's talk Post-it notes. These little squares of paper are indispensable, aren't they? But did you know their origin story is pure accident? In 1968, 3M scientist Spencer Silver created a weak adhesive. It was sticky but not strong enough to hold things together. Years later, Art Fry, a colleague, needed bookmarks for his hymnal. He realized Spencer's adhesive was perfect, and thus, Post-it notes were born. Sometimes, the best inventions come from accidents. Okay, buckle up because this one is a wild ride. Imagine, it's 1945, World War II is raging, and a Raytheon engineer named Percy Spencer is hard at work on a top-secret Project Radar technology. Percy was a genius with electronics, a real tinkerer. One day, while he was working on a magnetron, that's the heart of a radar system, he noticed something strange. He was carrying a chocolate bar in his pocket and it had completely melted. Now, most of us would just be bummed about a melted candy bar. But Percy? He was intrigued. He knew the magnetron emitted electromagnetic waves, and he had a hunch that those waves were responsible for melting his chocolate. To test his theory, he grabbed some popcorn kernels, the kind you pop in a pan on the stovetop. He placed the kernels near the magnetron, turned it on, and waited. And then, pop, 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 the kernels exploded into fluffy white popcorn right there in the lab. Percy was ecstatic. He'd stumbled onto something huge, a completely new way to cook food using microwave energy. Of course, the first microwave oven was a far cry from the sleek countertop models we have today. It was a massive, clunky contraption called the Radarange, and it weighed over 700 pounds. But hey, it got the job done. Percy's accidental discovery revolutionized the way we cook and heat our food. It's a testament to the power of observation and a little bit of curiosity. Who knew a melted chocolate bar could change the world? Let's talk breakfast cereal, specifically those crunchy flakes of corn that have graced our breakfast tables for over a century. Corn Flakes. I bet you didn't know this breakfast staple was a complete accident, born out of a quest for, of all things, healthier eating. Our story takes place in the late 19th century with 2 brothers, John Harvey Kellogg and Will Keith Kellogg. John Harvey, a surgeon and health activist, ran a sanitarium in Battle Creek, Michigan, where he advocated for a strict vegetarian diet. He believed that bland food was the key to a healthy lifestyle. Yeah, I know, not exactly my cup of tea either. One day, the Kellogg brothers were experimenting in the sanitarium kitchen, trying to create a nutritious granola. They boiled some wheat, then left it out on a tray to cool. But life got in the way, and they completely forgot about the wheat for several hours. By the time they remembered, the wheat had gone stale. Now, most people would have tossed it out, right? But the Kellogg's were on a tight budget. They decided to run the stale wheat through rollers, hoping to salvage something edible. To their surprise, instead of forming a dough, the wheat shattered into flakes. They toasted the flakes, and voila, cornflakes were born. Well, not quite cornflakes as we know them. John Harvey preferred his flakes plain, without any sugar. His brother Will, however, saw the potential for a tastier, more marketable product. He added sugar to the recipe, and the rest is breakfast history. It's funny how a simple mistake, a forgotten tray of wheat, led to the creation of one of the world's most popular breakfast cereals. Chapter 4. Viagra from heart treatment to happy accident. Okay, this one's a bit delicate, but let's be honest, it's a story everyone wants to hear. Viagra, the little blue pill that's become synonymous with, wasn't originally intended for its most famous use. In fact, it was a complete accident. It all started in the 1990s at Pfizer, where scientists were developing a drug called sildenafil citrate to treat angina, a painful heart condition caused by restricted blood flow to the heart. The idea was that sildenafil would relax blood vessels and improve blood flow. The clinical trials seemed promising at first. Patients reported some positive effects, but not on their hearts. Instead, they were experiencing an unexpected and, shall we say, welcome side effect. Yeah, you guessed it. Increased blood flow to a certain other part of the body. Pfizer's scientists quickly realized they had stumbled onto something much bigger than a heart medication. They shifted gears and focused their research on sildenafil's effects on erectile dysfunction. And in 1998, Viagra was approved by the FDA. The rest, as they say, is history. Viagra became a global phenomenon, changing the lives of millions of men and their partners. It just goes to show, sometimes the most unexpected discoveries can have the most profound impact. Chapter 5. Teflon, the slippery science of non-stick. Let's talk about a kitchen hero, the unsung champion of countless breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, Teflon. This remarkable material, with its uncanny ability to repel just about anything you throw at it, was a complete accident. It all started in 1938 with a young chemist at DuPont named Roy Plunkett. Roy was working on developing a new type of refrigerant, a chemical used in refrigerators and air conditioners. He was experimenting with a gas called tetrafluoroethylene, or TFE, storing it in pressurized canisters. One day, Roy and his assistant were preparing for an experiment. They grabbed a canister of TFE, but when they opened the valve, nothing came out. The canister weighed the same as a full one, so they knew the gas hadn't leaked out. Curious, they cut the canister open and made an astonishing discovery. The inside of the canister was coated with a waxy white substance that was incredibly slippery. It turns out that the TFE gas had polymerized, meaning the molecules had linked together to form a long chain, creating a new material, polytetrafluoroethylene, or PTFE for short. Roy was intrigued by this strange new substance. It was incredibly inert, meaning it didn't react with other chemicals. It had an extremely low coefficient of friction, making it incredibly slippery. And it had a remarkably high melting point, meaning it could withstand high temperatures. It took a while for PTFE to find its true calling, but eventually, its non-stick properties made it the perfect material for cookware. Teflon was born, and the world of cooking was forever changed. Who knew a forgotten canister of gas could lead to such a revolutionary invention? Chapter 6. Superglue sticking power. Born from a sticky situation. We've all been there, struggling to glue something back together, only to end up with more glue on our fingers than on the actual project. But what if I told you that one of the strongest adhesives ever invented, superglue, was also an accident? Our story takes us back to 1942, during the height of World War II. A chemist named Dr. Harry Coover was working at Eastman Kodak, tasked with developing a clear plastic that could be used for gun sights on fighter planes. Dr. Coover was experimenting with a class of chemicals called cyanoacrylates, known for their ability to form strong bonds quickly. But there was a problem. These cyanoacrylates were sticking to everything in sight, making them incredibly difficult to work with. Frustrated, Dr. Coover shelved the cyanoacrylates, considering them a failure. Fast forward a few years to 1951. Dr. Coover was now working on a new project at Kodak, developing a heat-resistant acrylate polymer for jet canopies. One day, he and a colleague were testing out different formulations when, once again, they encountered a sticky situation. One of the cyanoacrylate compounds they were testing had bonded two prisms together with incredible strength. This time, however, Dr. Coover recognized the potential of this accidental discovery. This wasn't just a nuisance. It was a breakthrough in adhesive technology. Eastman Kodak marketed this new adhesive as Eastman No. 910, and later, it became known as superglue. It quickly found its way into homes and workshops around the world, becoming an indispensable tool for repairs, crafts, and even, surprisingly, medicine. It's amazing to think that a substance initially considered a nuisance would become a household name, all thanks to a few sticky situations and a chemist's keen observation. Outro celebrating the unexpected, the beauty of accidental genius. There you have it. 6 amazing inventions that were born from happy accidents. From sticky notes and non-stick pans to life-changing medications and revolutionary cooking technology, these innovations remind us that progress often comes from the most unexpected places. Which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. I don't know about you, but I find these stories incredibly inspiring. They remind us that it's okay to make mistakes, to experiment, and to always be curious. You never know what you might discover. So the next time you're feeling stuck or frustrated by a setback, remember these accidental inventions. They're proof that sometimes the best way to move forward is to embrace the unexpected. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more interesting stories of innovation.